Have you ever wondered why some men seem magnetically drawn to certain women while others remain unnoticed? The answer goes far deeper than beauty, clothing, or charm. What awakens the deepest layers of attraction in a man is not just physical. It lies in the hidden architecture of the male psyche. This is a truth first uncovered by the psychologist Carl Jung, who spent decades studying the unconscious mind and the archetypes that shape human behavior. Today, I want to share with you what many have called Jung's forbidden secrets, 6 psychological triggers that awaken an almost uncontrollable sexual desire in men. These ideas are not cheap tricks or manipulative games. They are not about perfume, lingerie, or rehearsed lines. They come from a profound understanding of the symbols and archetypes that live in the collective unconscious of men. When awakened, these forces stir desire so powerful that a man cannot help but respond, often without even knowing why. I must also offer a warning. This knowledge is not light or superficial. It carries responsibility. When you awaken these triggers, you are not simply making yourself more attractive. You are touching something ancient and primal within a man. Something that can reshape the very foundation of how he connects with you, used wisely. This power has the potential to create a relationship rooted not only in passion, but in trust, devotion, and profound intimacy. One of my clients, Mariana, understood this in a way that transformed her life. At 47, divorced for 5 years, she believed her ability to inspire desire in a man had faded with time. She thought her best years were behind her, but when she began to integrate only 2 of these 6 secrets into her relationships, something remarkable happened. The man she had quietly admired began pursuing her with a devotion she had never imagined possible. He confessed that he felt seen in a way he had never experienced before, and that feeling ignited both attraction and commitment. Stories like Mariana's are not unusual when these principles are applied, because they go beyond surface attraction. Jung discovered that men are driven not only by what they see, but by archetypes buried deep in their unconscious minds. These archetypes are not just abstract symbols, they are powerful forces that shape emotion, desire, and even memory. When a woman embodies or resonates with these forces, she becomes unforgettable. The first of these secrets is what Jung called the connection with the shadow. The shadow represents the parts of ourselves that remain hidden, repressed, or denied. For men, this often means emotions, fears, and vulnerabilities that society teaches them to bury. From boyhood, men are conditioned to be strong, stoic, and in control. But beneath that mask lives a more complete, more complex self that longs to be acknowledged. When a woman becomes a sanctuary for that hidden self, when she offers presence without judgment, she unlocks one of the deepest triggers of male desire. It is not about playing therapist or reducing a man to fragility. It is about being truly present, listening not just to his words, but to the silences between them, and recognizing what lies beneath his actions. When a man feels safe enough to let that hidden self emerge in your presence, the gratitude he feels transforms quickly into desire. It is a mystical connection that awakens him in ways he cannot easily explain, yet cannot forget. The second secret is what Jung described as the dance with the anima, the inner feminine image every man carries within him. This image evolves throughout his life, shaped by his experiences, relationships, and even his deepest longings. It is not merely about physical beauty, it is about qualities of energy, emotion, and spirit. When a woman resonates with this inner image, she awakens a profound attraction that transcends appearances. You may notice this in subtle ways. Perhaps a man lights up when you reveal your playful spontaneity, or grows tender when you express your nurturing side. Perhaps he feels magnetized when you embody strength and independence, or when you lean into softness and receptivity. These are clues to the shape of his anima. By attuning to these responses, not by pretending, but by allowing these aspects of yourself to naturally emerge, you create a resonance with his inner world. My client Christina discovered this in her 50s. For years, she had tried to impress men with logic, responsibility, and control. But she noticed the man she loved responded most to her intuitive, mysterious side when she allowed herself to embody that quality authentically. Their relationship transformed. He told her he felt he had finally found the woman he had always been searching for. The third secret Jung revealed is what he called the alchemy of contrast. Men are not magnetized by uniformity, by partners who are always predictable, always one-dimensional. The male psyche hungers for contrast, for the dance of opposites alive in one person. Passion thrives not in sameness, but in the interplay between vulnerability and strength, gentleness and fierceness, spirituality and earthiness. This is why relationships that start with fiery passion often cool over time. When predictability sets in, the spark fades. But when a woman embraces her own complexity, when she allows different facets of herself to emerge freely, she becomes a living mystery that continually renews desire. Ellen, a 42-year-old client, applied this principle in a marriage that had grown dull after 15 years. She realized she had become only the reliable, practical wife. By reconnecting with her adventurous spirit, her sensuality, and her spirituality, she reintroduced contrast into the relationship. Her husband, once distant, began to look at her with the eyes of a man rediscovering his partner. These first three secrets alone form a powerful foundation for transforming the way a man responds to you. They awaken forces within him that he may not even understand, yet feels compelled to follow. And as powerful as they are only the beginning. For what Jung uncovered next reaches even deeper, into the very core of what drives a man to love, to devote, and to remain magnetically bound to a woman across time. If the shadow, the anima, and the alchemy of contrast reveal the hidden currents of attraction. The next discovery Jung made reached into the very heart of a man's identity. He called it resonance with the inner hero. Every man, no matter his age or circumstance, carries within him an archetype that drives him forward, the need to overcome, to protect, to create, to prove himself against challenges. This is not mere ego or vanity. It is a primal force embedded in the male unconscious, an instinct that whispers to him that life must have meaning. When a woman sees and honors this inner hero, she awakens something within him that few men ever feel. This does not mean pretending to be weak so that he can feel strong, nor does it mean inflating his pride with empty flattery. True resonance happens when you genuinely recognize his integrity, his loyalty, his determination, or his courage. It could be the way he protects what matters to him, the way he rises again after setbacks, or the way he quietly upholds his commitments when no one else notices. When a man feels that these heroic qualities are seen by you not because you wish to manipulate him, but because you truly value them, he begins to rise toward the image you reflect. He feels not only gratitude, but desire, because you have become the mirror of his highest potential. One of my clients, Tiana, experienced this in a long-term relationship that had dulled over time. For years, she had criticized her partner's failings, and he had grown increasingly withdrawn. But when she shifted her attention to the heroic qualities he already embodied, his resilience in the face of financial struggles, his loyalty to his family, his refusal to give up on self-improvement, everything changed. His eyes lit with new fire. He began to pursue her again with the vigor of a younger man, and their intimacy rekindled almost overnight. Jung himself warned that this secret is powerful. A man who feels truly seen in his heroic essence bonds with a woman in a way that transcends attraction. It creates a devotion that can withstand the trials of time, because it is rooted in the archetypal core of his being. The fifth secret Jung revealed is even more daring. He called it the portal to the transcendent. Most people assume male sexuality is driven purely by physical release or pleasure. But Jung discovered that beneath this lies a spiritual dimension rarely understood, in its deepest form. A man's desire is not only to unite bodies, but to touch something beyond himself, something sacred. When intimacy becomes a gateway to this transcendent experience, a man is forever changed. The memory of such a union does not fade quickly, because it is not just about pleasure, it is about contact with the eternal. Certain women awaken this portal not through technique or performance, but through presence. They embody their sensuality not as an act, but as an expression of the sacred feminine within them. To live this principle requires letting go of pretense. It means inhabiting your body fully, breathing deeply, feeling the currents of energy that move through you. It means allowing pleasure to be authentic rather than staged, natural rather than performed. When you are present in this way, a man enters a state where boundaries dissolve, where he feels not only connected to you, but connected to life itself. That moment becomes etched into his memory as something irreplaceable, something he longs to return to again and again. Clara, at 49, discovered this after years of disappointing encounters, by reconnecting with her body as something sacred, by allowing her pleasure to flow naturally rather than striving to please. She awakened in her new partner an intensity he confessed he had never known before. He told her he felt as if he had crossed a threshold into a realm of intimacy that was spiritual, not just physical. What makes this secret so profound is that it transforms desire into devotion. A man who experiences this kind of union does not simply want you. He yearns for the transcendent state he can only reach with you. But Jung did not stop there. His most daring revelation was also his final one. The sixth secret he considered both the most powerful and the most dangerous. He called it the mirror of wholeness. This principle weaves together everything else: the shadow, the anima, the contrasts, the hero, the transcendent, and integrates them into a single truth. What awakens the deepest and most enduring sexual desire in a man is not any one quality or moment, but the experience of a woman who reflects his totality back to him. Not just the parts he already knows, but the light and the darkness, the present and the potential, the strength and the vulnerability. When you become this mirror, you awaken in him the sense that he is finally complete. This is not a skill that can be mastered quickly. It requires your own inner work. For you can only mirror what you yourself have recognized. A woman who has explored her own shadow can hold space for his. A woman who has embraced both her strength and softness can honor his. A woman who has integrated her own contradictions can help him reconcile his. Isabella, at 61, embodied this after a painful divorce. She had done years of personal shadow work, learning to see and accept herself fully when she entered a new relationship. She carried that depth with her. Her partner confessed that, for the first time in his life, he felt truly seen. The passion between them did not fade with time, but grew deeper, because it was rooted in this mirror of wholeness. Jung warned that this final secret is powerful enough to bind a man for life. When he feels that a woman reflects his entire being, he does not merely desire her, he experiences her as the path to his own healing and evolution. It is a bond that reaches beyond love into destiny. When we look at these 6 forbidden secrets together, what emerges is not a set of tricks or techniques, but a map of the male psyche, the shadow, the anima, the alchemy of contrast, the inner hero, the transcendent portal, and the mirror of wholeness are not isolated pieces. They form an interconnected system, a web of archetypal forces that shape how men desire, bond, and love. And when a woman learns to engage with them authentically, she holds in her hands the power to transform not just attraction, but the entire foundation of a relationship. Yet this knowledge cannot be treated lightly. Jung himself suggested that these forces were too powerful to be shared indiscriminately. They reach into places that are tender, unguarded, and often unacknowledged within a man. To awaken them is to open doors that may have been locked since childhood. It is to step into chambers of the heart and soul that he may not even know exist. That is why the true work begins not with learning how to apply these secrets to a man, but with learning how to embody them within yourself. The first step is self-awareness. Many women enter relationships on autopilot, repeating patterns that have followed them for years. They express only certain parts of themselves: the responsible provider, the nurturing caretaker, the flirtatious seductress, while repressing others. But attraction thrives on complexity and wholeness. To awaken it in a man, you must first allow yourself to live in your own fullness. One client, Patricia, discovered this through a simple yet profound exercise. She began keeping a journal, recording how men responded when she expressed different sides of herself. When she revealed her playful spontaneity, she noticed a certain sparkle in their eyes. When she leaned into her independence and strength, she evoked admiration and respect. When she softened into vulnerability, she awakened protectiveness and tenderness. By observing these patterns, she learned not only what resonated with them, but what felt most alive within herself. Over time, She discovered that the act of self-awareness itself transformed her relationships because she was no longer hiding behind a single mask. The second step is self-acceptance. It is not enough to notice the different aspects of your femininity. You must embrace them all without shame. This includes your vulnerability and your strength, your passion and your restraint, your mystery and your clarity. When you reject parts of yourself, you unconsciously ask others to reject them as well. But when you embody them fully, you invite others, men included, to meet you in that wholeness. This is why the mirror of wholeness is such a powerful secret. A man can only feel complete in your presence if you have already come to terms with your own totality. You cannot reflect what you have not yet seen. The depth of connection you offer him is limited by the depth of connection you allow with yourself. The third step is conscious practice. These principles are not one-time revelations, but ongoing journeys. They require attention, reflection, and patience. When you are with a man, notice the moments when he subtly removes his mask, when he lets the shadow peek through. Resist the urge to fix or analyze. Simply be present, and you will see how quickly desire awakens. When you notice the qualities that make him heroic, name them sincerely, without exaggeration. You will see his posture change, his eyes brighten, his energy surge. When to share intimacy, let go of performance and simply inhabit your body as a sacred vessel of pleasure, and watch how the encounter transforms into something unforgettable. These practices are not about control. They are not manipulations designed to bind a man against his will. They are invitations, openings, sacred spaces you create through authenticity. And it is precisely this authenticity that makes them so powerful. For many women, the most surprising outcome of this work is not what happens in their relationships with men, but what happens within themselves. Time and again, clients tell me that the real transformation was not that their partners became more attentive or passionate, but that they themselves became more alive. They began to feel more creative energy, more clarity of purpose, more freedom in their expression. By embracing these archetypal forces within, they open doors not only to love, but to abundance in every area of life. Renata, 55, came to me desperate to win back her ex-husband. She thought the secrets would be a strategy to rekindle his desire. But what happened was unexpected. By embodying the dance with the anima and the alchemy of contrast, she reawakened long dormant parts of herself, her sensuality, her intuition, her adventurous spirit. Her ex did return, drawn to the magnetic woman she had become. But more importantly, Renata told me for the first time, I feel like I'm living from my center, not for a man, not to keep a relationship, but because I have finally remembered who I am. That is the hidden gift of these forbidden teachings. They awaken desire not because you learn to manipulate a man, but because you reconnect with your own essence. And when you do, the magnetic field you generate naturally draws men toward you, not temporarily, but enduringly. With knowledge of this depth comes responsibility. To awaken the hidden chambers of a man's psyche is to stir both his desires and his fears. Many men, when confronted with this kind of intimacy, may initially pull away. The very intensity of the connection can feel overwhelming, even threatening, because it calls him into parts of himself he has never fully faced. He may hesitate, resist, or test the safety of the space you create before surrendering to it. This is why compassion and patience are as essential as presence and authenticity. When you awaken a man's shadow, you may also awaken his insecurities. When you call forth his inner hero, you may also stir his doubts. When you open the portal to the transcendent, he may feel exposed in ways he cannot easily articulate. These moments are not signs of failure. They are proof that you are touching something real, something sacred, to guide him through these uncharted waters. You must also guide yourself. This is the paradox at the heart of Jung's forbidden secrets, though they promise to awaken male desire. The deeper transformation always happens within the woman herself, again and again. My clients discover that while their relationships change dramatically, the most profound shifts are internal. They find themselves standing taller, speaking with more clarity, radiating a magnetic energy that draws respect and admiration from everyone around them, not only from men. By embracing their wholeness, they rediscover their power. And it is this inner power, this alignment with the feminine essence, that awakens devotion in men, True desire does not emerge from playing games or performing roles. It arises when a woman lives so fully in her own truth that she becomes impossible to ignore. This is why accusations of manipulation miss the mark. Manipulation is built on deception and control, on seeking to bend another's will. But these principles are about alignment and resonance. They are about seeing clearly and being seen clearly. When you honor the heroic qualities of a man, you are not tricking him. You are practicing the discipline of recognition. When you embody the transcendent in intimacy, you are not creating dependency. You are allowing sacred energy to flow through you. When you mirror a man's wholeness, you are not controlling him. You are offering him the gift of integration, just as you have offered it to yourself. What Jung uncovered is not a toolkit for seduction, but a pathway to authentic connection. And the more fully you walk this path, the less you will need to think in terms of tactics or strategies. Desire will cease to be something you chase or manufacture. It will become the natural byproduct of living as an integrated, radiant, embodied woman. This is why the ripple effects extend far beyond romance. Clients who integrate these secrets often report transformations in their careers, their families, and even their health by connecting with their feminine essence. They access creative energy they never knew they had. They set clearer boundaries, pursue passions that had been postponed, and cultivate relationships of depth and honesty rather than habit or obligation. It is as though, by aligning with these archetypal forces, they align with life itself. Of course, such integration requires courage. It is not easy to face your own shadow, to admit that parts of you have been hidden for years. It is not easy to embrace the full spectrum of your femininity, especially when the world often pressures women to choose one identity, professional or maternal, strong or gentle, sensual or serious. And it is not easy to trust that the deepest currents of attraction flow not from control, but from surrender to your own truth. But courage is what unlocks transformation. When you are willing to let go of the safety of old patterns, when you are willing to be seen in both your vulnerability and your power, when you are willing to embrace the mystery of intimacy rather than cling to certainty, you open the door to a kind of love that few ever experience. For some, this journey begins with the hope of capturing a man's attention. But those who stay with it long enough realize that the true reward is much greater. It is the rediscovery of the self, the reclamation of the feminine, the remembrance of a wisdom that has been silenced for generations. Men may be magnetized by these secrets, but women are transformed by them. In the end, the forbidden teachings of Jung are not about men at all. They are about the integration of human wholeness, about bridging the masculine and feminine within ourselves so that we can meet one another in authenticity. Desire, when rooted in such depth, ceases to fade with time. It deepens, it evolves. It becomes not only the spark of passion, but the foundation of companionship, growth, and shared destiny. The path is before you. Whether you choose to walk, it depends on whether you are willing to embrace both the beauty and the responsibility of such knowledge. To grasp the full significance of these forbidden secrets, we must return to their source. Jung never intended them as mere tools of attraction. He saw them as keys to understanding the deeper movements of the psyche, symbols of the eternal dance between masculine and feminine, shadow and light, the human and the divine. The fact that they awaken desire in men is not a coincidence. It is evidence that desire itself is rooted in something larger than biology or culture. It is a force that pulls us toward wholeness, integration, and transformation. Think of the shadow. It is not only a man's hidden vulnerability, but a reminder that all of us carry unseen parts waiting to be acknowledged. Think of the anima, the inner image of the feminine. It is not only a template for attraction, but a reflection of how the soul seeks to balance itself through relationship. Think of contrast, the dance of opposites. It is not only what keeps passion alive, but what allows human beings to embrace their own contradictions. These are not isolated insights about men. They are revelations about life itself. When you awaken these forces within a man, you are not merely sparking his desire, you are inviting him into his own journey of integration. And when you awaken them within yourself, you are stepping into your own. The union that results is not just romantic, it is archetypal. It is the union of opposites that Jung called individuation, the process of becoming whole. This is why the results can feel so powerful, even uncanny. A man who experiences the mirror of wholeness with you does not just feel passion, he feels recognition, as though he has found in you the missing piece of himself. A woman who embodies the transcendent in intimacy does not just make love, she becomes the doorway through which a man glimpses eternity. These experiences cannot be forgotten because they touch something eternal within us. But such power requires humility. To hold another person's unconscious in your hands is to carry a sacred trust. The goal is never to dominate or control, but to honor. To honor the shadow as much as the light, to honor the vulnerability as much as the strength, to honor the journey as much as the destination. If used selfishly, these secrets can create obsession without foundation, dependence without growth. But used wisely, they create relationships that elevate both partners into more authentic, more expansive versions of themselves. The women who have walked this path will tell you that it is not without challenges. Men may resist, stumble, or retreat before they are ready to surrender to such depth. You, too, will face moments of doubt, where old fears rise up and ask if you are enough. But each challenge is also an initiation, a test that deepens your capacity for presence and compassion, and with each step, you grow stronger not in the brittle strength of control, but in the supple strength of authenticity. In the end, this is the true gift of Jung's forbidden teachings. Not that you can awaken a man's desire, but that you can awaken your own. Not that you can draw devotion from him, but that you can draw wholeness from yourself. Desire becomes the mirror through which you see your own radiance reflected back. Love becomes the crucible in which both partners are transformed. So the question is not whether these secrets work, they do. The question is whether you are ready to embody them, not as techniques, but as truths. Are you willing to meet yourself in your own shadow so you can meet him in his? Are you willing to embrace the contradictions within you so you can inspire his? Are you willing to carry the sacred fire of intimacy, not as performance, but as presence? If so, then you are ready to step into a realm of connection that most people never touch. What Jung uncovered has been hidden for too long, but now that the knowledge has reached you, the choice is yours. You can continue to navigate relationships as before, hoping for surface sparks that fade with time, or you can walk the path of wholeness, of archetypal resonance, of love that deepens rather than diminishes. If you felt something stir within you as you listened, trust it. That stirring is not just curiosity, it is the call of your own psyche, inviting you into greater power, greater depth, and greater love. Thank you for sharing this journey. If this resonated with you, I invite you to support this channel like this video. Share it with women who need to hear these truths. Subscribe for more insights. And leave a comment about what moved you most. Together we can create a community of women reclaiming the fullness of their power.